Hey there, I'm JD, and we're playing My RV Skills today, the puzzle game where we try to back up trailers and motorhomes as fast as we can without hitting stuff. I want to show you my favorite level in this game because I think it's uniquely puzzling. Most levels have a clear goal and it's just a matter of carefully maneuvering the vehicle. This level isn't quite that simple. For starters, we can't even see the goal, just this helpful red arrow. The goal is actually behind the house up there. Then we have all these cars on the street keeping us from having any chance of getting in there. And if that wasn't enough, our driveway is really small with hedges on both sides and a concrete pillar of some kind represented by this black square. Just to prove it to you, I'll show you what it's like trying to turn into the driveway going forward and backing in. Here's heading straight in. There's really no chance to get in here. And if we go past it and try to back in, it doesn't really improve the situation. Depending on how much of a perfectionist you are, it is possible to push cars out of the way, but that's still not much better, and it's not very satisfying of a solution, even if you can get it to work. My next thought was to go down the street, turn around, and try from the other direction. There's a neighbor with a sizable driveway that makes that fairly easy. It doesn't help us if we go right in, but it does look a little more promising if we back in from this direction. The car in our way here is actually a bit smaller than the others, so we definitely have a better angle. However, it's still not enough for us to fit this giant fifth wheel in without scraping something. So after I was convinced that this wasn't really possible, I started searching for other options. I noticed the neighbor's driveway that's right in line with ours, but it's no easier to get into that driveway. However, that's not their only driveway, and they have a bunch of space behind their house. The thing that really showed me the way, though, was that the neighbor's driveway we turned around in earlier, that whole yard is accessible because there's no curb to hit. Putting that all together, I realized that we actually have to go around our neighbor's house. I guess we're just really good friends with them that they let us do this. We use that first neighbor's yard and then our other neighbor's backyard so we can line up for our driveway. The last question to answer then is, do we want to do the whole thing forwards or in reverse? Here's what it looks like in forwards. I sped it up because it takes me a few minutes usually, but you can see how it's not too bad. Just a few times where we have to reposition to get around a tight turn as we get to our backyard. What takes the most time is doing this full turnaround in such a tight space to get lined up for the final position. And as we get to the end, you'll see one problem. The end zone isn't actually large enough on this level. Even though that's kinda annoying, I actually think it's fun in its own way. We were able to solve the hard backing challenge, so we earned the chance to find this funny bug. Of course, after doing it forwards, I was curious if trying it in reverse would be easier. The creator of this game says that it's often easier to finish some of the levels that way. The start is perhaps even easier, but it does make it a little tricky getting around our neighbor's backyard. After that, though, things are pretty straightforward and repositioning in our own yard is much faster. So I guess it's really up to your preference which way makes more sense to you. Now, even though we've solved this level, that's not all. I really like this level because it's available for all 5 RV configurations. That was the long fifth wheel, but there's also the short fifth wheel, both trailers, and the motorhome we can try. And there are some interesting differences between the levels, so let's take a look at those. The long trailer is the most similar. I think it's actually easier to get around the tight corners, but turning it around behind our house is much more difficult. The short trailer makes it easier to go around as before, but it also offers the possibility of a shortcut. Because it's shorter, it's actually possible to back it into our driveway after turning around on the street. Now, as I turn around here, you may notice I'm using the S-turn technique. If you don't know what that is, check out my video about it. I'll link it on screen and in the description. Now that we've turned around, we'll head back and try this out. The smaller car is enough of a help now to make it work, and with some careful maneuvering, we can fit by. After that, it's just the same techniques as we've used before, but easier with a shorter trailer. The short fifth wheel is a lot like the long fifth wheel. I think it may be possible to back it in from the street, but I haven't gotten that to work, so I usually go around just like the long fifth wheel. And then my second favorite version is the motorhome, because our backyard now has some trees in it. They not only look nice, but add a few obstacles to the challenge. Again, going around is still the easy way, but backing in from the street may be faster. Well, that's it. My favorite level and my RV skills. Which version was your favorite? Have you seen anyone doing something this complicated while moving an RV in real life? Leave a comment and let me know. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.